this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This is how you deceive people. I'm sure it's not deliberate, but this is the sort of thing that can happen when you're buying a plant relying on the pictures you're given to actually choose the ones you like. And I chose this one simply because it was a Aerangis that had colour on it, because most of them are from a pale green through the creams, occasionally a tinge of yellow or a tinge of pink through to white, and they don't have a bright orange bit like this one does. This one has a name about 8 foot long, which will be the subject of a pop-up. I'm not attempting to recite that. But basically what we've got here is the camera on the tripod, which is why it's absolutely rock steady, and the lens is about 11 centimetres from that bloom. And now if I put my finger in there, you'll see what I mean by deception. The blooms are absolutely tiny. Now if you had a plant with a spike with a dozen of those tiny little blooms on, it would look quite spectacular, although they would be small. But I would say that's not much more than 1 centimetre across, maybe 1.5 centimetres at the most. Absolutely tiny. And I'm not trying to fool you, that's why I just put my finger behind the bloom so that I'm not leading you into thinking, oh, his finger's closer to the lens, it's bigger than that really. No, it's not. It's absolutely tiny. But nonetheless, I've got the thing to bloom. That's the main thing, because this is a bunch of seedlings. So I can back up a bit now. This is in effect a bunch of seedlings on a mount. And there's actually quite a few plants in here. 1, 2, 3, 4 at least. And another one underneath. There's 5, maybe even 6 plants on that mount. And they're all, it's just basically, I suspect, somebody grabbed a little handful or whatever of seedlings. You know, when they come out of the flask, it's often difficult to separate them into individual plants, so they often get planted up in little community pots, little groups, and then sometimes the groups are split later on, and occasionally, if the plants are big enough, they may eventually end up as single plants. But again, when they're relatively small, it's how you often get more than one plant, basically, sometimes 2 or 3, because they were small and fiddly, and somebody couldn't be bothered to separate them out. But nonetheless, they're growing on. They've got roots. Some of those are actively growing, and we've got a spike off of one of them. So we did actually have a second spike, but it aborted. And this is not a strong spike. This is a weak spike, and it did have 4 buds. Now it's only got 3, and I'm not sure the other 2 will open. They may do, but I've got 1 to bloom now, so at least I can get a picture for my records. And with my theory of filming plants and saving some clips away, I'll now film this one, but I need a separate clip because this long clip will go to YouTube sort of thing, and they're difficult to split using my software. They're easy to split within the software, but once you've imported the files, if you split one in 2, the file that you brought into the software is still a single file because you've imported it. You see what I mean? So it's not split. So every time I film a plant for my long-term records, I need to do a nice separate little clip. So I shall now do that with this one, as it's a first-time bloomer. And then when I've finished, I'll do this one as well while I'm at it. That's the little Mr. Sidii. Again, not a good blooming, but you know, that's how it goes. If I take that one down now and put that one up, hang on, where's the camera lens? Some faffing to do here. No, I won't be able to do it because the tripod's too high. I can't get this. This is a much heavier plant, and it's not gonna. Can I hook it on that plant without damaging it? Yeah, I think so. You might be able to raise the camera up now. Get a close up of that one too. That's what I say. It is handy to have the tripod sometimes to get in close, because the plant's still, the camera's now still. The camera actually needs to go down a bit and point upwards to get the best view. So down there and point upwards like that, something like that. Then we can go in close. Oops. Let's go up a bit more. Up a bit, left a bit, left a bit, up a bit. There we go. I think that might even be a bit too close for this camera. Let's try touching the lens, see if I can force it to focus. That's about as close as I can get. Anyway, as I said, I can do pretty good close-ups with this camera, but it needs to be dead still, which means tripod, and the plant needs to be dead still as well. If everything's still, it will focus, and it can go in pretty close. So there we go, 2 Aerangis. That's your lot for today. I'll let you know that I actually went to see a property yesterday. Talk about a last-minute decision. I was having chatted to one of my sisters at Lease, and she thinks it's a good idea for me to start seriously looking now with a view to moving whenever I can. So yesterday I was having quite a serious look through the various properties again, Wiltshire, Dorset and Hampshire, with the keyword Conservatory, which in the case of Wiltshire was 5 properties and all of them were far too expensive. But anyway, I found one and I thought, actually that doesn't look bad, but it looks odd. And it is nothing like the one out in the countryside, which I've virtually given up on because the agent just will not phone back. So, you know, they said, oh, we'll phone you back. As soon as the guy's back from his appointment, I'll give you a ring. Well, they never do, which means they're not very good, basically. So dealing with that agent might not be the best of ideas. And that property, practically speaking, is just too far away from everything I need to get involved with, especially the Bournemouth Orchid Society. So I sort of given that one a knock on the head, really. But I found this other one and I looked at it and I thought, oh, blimey, it's quite a new property. It's in an old part of Salisbury, but it's possibly a large old, you know, family home or something might have been knocked down with quite a bit of ground, and some new townhouses have been put up, which is not my thing at all. But Salisbury is almost dead centre between my 3 points of interest: Hannah, Bournemouth Orchid Society, and where the Wessex Orchid Society meet. And it's got links to all of it's got access to all good roads to get to all 3 of those places. And that cuts my travelling down by quite a bit. It cuts my journey time to Hannah down by half, you know, so that'll make life an awful lot easier. We spend more time, you know, at home rather than sat in the flipping car. And my travel time to Winchester will be reduced a little bit to get to Wessex, not by much, but by a little bit. Obviously my travel time to Bournemouth is greatly increased, because whereas it was 10 minutes, now it'll be half an hour or maybe 35 minutes. But it's only once a month, twice if there's a committee meeting. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, so I thought I'll phone them up. I need to get moving. Let's get organised here. So I phoned him up and he said, well, Mr. Frampton, we're actually doing viewings this morning. How does 11:15 sound? I thought, hell's bells, I'm not ready. I've been drinking coffee. I'll have to stop and have a wee behind a hedge or something. You know, so I drink a lot of coffee when I know I'm not going out because the toilet's just there. I don't care. But, you know, if I've got a journey to do, then I don't pour all the coffee in. Then I don't have to keep stopping and letting it out. Anyway, I sort of put a clean shirt on and put me posh trousers and shoes on. I thought I'd make myself look respectable, and I set off. Got there 3 minutes before the time I was supposed to be there. 3 minutes, that is cutting it fine. So I sort of sat in the car, got myself sort of organised and took a deep breath and went and knocked on the door. And the agent was there waiting, which is good. And I was bang on time, which always gives a good impression. And the layout of the house is strange. It's got a garage, an integral garage. It's built in, so it's part of the ground floor. And then there's like a hallway with a little toilet, just a toilet and a wash basin, not a proper bathroom, just a toilet. And then that leads into quite a large kitchen. It's large enough for me to have my dining table and some chairs. and that leads into a conservatory, and it's not as wide as this one, but it's longer. So I think the actual floor area is probably about the same as this. And it's attached to the house, obviously, it's a conservatory, and it's got two walls that are not glass. So it's got the back wall, you know, that is the house effectively, and the end wall. Possibly even the other end, I'm not sure. I think that was glass. And guess what? It faces north. It has a northerly aspect. So I don't have to worry about heat in the summer. It'll stay cool. You know, its only heat in the summer will be geared up to whatever the temperature outside is. So I won't have to spend a fortune on extractor fans and inlet fans. And I might even get away with not having the humidifier on anywhere near as much. Maybe, I don't know yet. I'll still need my circulating fans, I still need some airflow. But yeah, and then outside the conservatory is a tidy little back garden that gets some sun, depending on the time of year, in the sort of bottom half of it. So there would be somewhere to sit in the have a sit in the sunshine perhaps and have a glass of wine. And it's totally enclosed. And if you look over the fence at the bottom of the garden, it drops down about 15 feet to a little lane. So nobody can peer over your fence or chuck their empty beer cans over the fence or anything like that, because it's raised up, which is good. So from that floor, which basically has a kitchen and a little toilet, access to the garage from inside the house as well, which I'll probably use for storage. Actually, I'm not a garagey person. The faff of actually opening the garage door, backing the car in, closing the garage door, and then opening all up again because you want to go out again. The only time it comes into its own, really, I think, is in the winter time when your glass is all frozen up, which in the garage it probably wouldn't be. But we shall see. Not important, and not a vital item. Anyway, you go upstairs to a reasonable size lounge, nowhere near as big as the one I've got, but it's only me, you know. And then there's another quite large room on that same floor, the middle floor basically, that is currently a bedroom. And I'm thinking that would make a good office and music room. So all my computer stuff and everything, you know, my electronic drum kit and guitars, all that sort of stuff can go in that one room. And there was a laptop on the table next to the bed, which means there's internet in there. Now, it might only be hub rather than hardwired, but I can live with that. And I checked, and the company that I use, Virgin Media, because I've got a fibre optic cable that runs from the road into the house and plugs into the computer. It doesn't get any better than that. And I put the postcode in to see if they had a service in that area. And to all intents and purposes, it says you can just do a transfer of service, which implies that the fibre optic cable is already in that property. Because if it was only in the road outside, a man has to come and dig a hole and put the cable from the road into your property and have a sort of a station on the end of it. So it sounds like it may even have the internet that I've got ready to go. So I just have to pay a small transfer fee. That'll be good. Anyway, from there you go upstairs to the top floor. So 3 floors, and the top floor's got 2 more bedrooms and a bathroom. With a proper decent shower and everything. So, yeah. So, I think I would sacrifice that bedroom on the middle floor and turn it into an office so that it's next to the lounge. And have one of the bedrooms for me upstairs and then a spare one for when Hannah stays. And that's where the bathroom is. You tend to use the bathroom before you go to bed and possibly when you get up. So having it, using a bedroom on the top floor where the bathroom is makes more sense to me. I haven't got it yet, but at least I've looked at it, and although it's an odd layout and there'll be quite a bit of going up and downstairs, that'll keep me fit, won't it? The good thing is it's a minimum of a 12-month let. They don't want mucking about, and that's unusual because normally it just says long-term let and the contract will say 6 months. But this one says you must sign up for 12 months, basically, which I was happy to do. I also told them I'd be happy to pay 6 months in advance, which nobody else will. I doubt if anybody would volunteer that. And we now have to wait and see. There is nothing more to do. There are some other properties I could think about looking at, but none of them are more centrally placed. So this is the one I would sort of prefer. If I can't get this, if somebody else gets it or what have you, then I'll start looking again. And, it'll be the best position I can get with the best facilities I can get. And I'll just have to keep it going until eventually I get one. So anyway, that was a little trip out that I didn't expect. And I called in the butty wagon on the way home. There's a really good one just on the outskirts of Salisbury on the way home. Oh, and the other thing is the garage just on the outskirts of Salisbury, which I had to drive past anyway, not only had fuel, but it didn't have a queue. I was one car behind, so I just had to wait for the car in front to finish and go and pay and drive off, and I filled my car up. So I was over the moon, got that done as well. So I'm all right for Saturday now, I don't have to even think about it. So a trip out, unexpected, and the process is starting. We're underway now. We need to start seriously looking at properties, process of elimination, best one first. If I can't get that one, go for the next one. And I just want to get this show out the weekend on Saturday because that's my only real commitment that's left. And then Hannah will be coming down the weekend before, towards the end of October, which replaces this weekend, basically. But she'd have been coming down on that weekend anyway because that's, whatever. And, so there we go. A couple of Aerangis to look at. And as I said, I will start doing my little video clips to file away with these two while they're in bloom. See, now it might be nice to wait for the little one, for the other two buds to open, but it might be one of those with a really short-lived bloom, and this one drops off and the other two blast and I miss it. So we'll do one with one bloom, and if the other two open, I can always do it again, can't I? Replace it with one. But yeah, when we get reasonable light like today, I'm going to pick on a couple of plants and film them, a short clip to file away, preferably while they're in bloom, and sort of a close-up of the bloom and a look at the whole plant, and try and file these away because these clips will come in useful, especially when I'm putting a talk together. Right, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. It's all good fun, isn't it? All go, as they say. Bye for now.